Hello, this is Coach Tim Campbell, and I'm your host for the Self-Made is a Myth, Make a Difference Together show, where we are talking with successful business owners to hear the stories of their journey to building their business. And because we know that success doesn't happen alone, we are recognizing the folks who have helped us in our excelling in our business. Today, I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. My guest is passionate about people and learning everything that she can about them. In her downtime, she enjoys reading, camping, and hanging out with friends, and she's most proud of being a mom and a wife. It is my pleasure to welcome Sue Ann to the show today. Hello, Sue Ann.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Well, hey, let's start with having you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit of your background, your personal story, like where you were born, where you live, about your family, and some of your hobbies.
Okay, yeah. My name is Ann Emmons. We've introduced that already. I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I grew up downtown Indianapolis in areas that were called the Valley and Old South Side, which is where I met my husband. We have 3 children, 4 grandchildren, 2 dogs, and 2 granddogs. All the dogs are
I love it.
dogs. Oh, so fun. So you've told them that, what my hobbies are. I do love to read good romance novels. Sometimes I'm not sure. I go from those to personal development, kind of back and forth. I get a little bored with one and go to the other. And then, of course, outdoor activities and playing with the dogs, hanging out with people. I do love people. I love to hear their stories, and I love to talk. So talk and listen. So my favorite things to do. So with our family, once we started having children, I wanted to get our children away from public schools because I didn't have the best experiences. So we moved out closer to Mooresville, Indiana, in Decatur Township in 2000. And so that's where our children grew up and graduated high school and went on to college. And so that's pretty much it. We've been in Decatur Township for close to 15 years, with the exception of moving around a little bit with life-changing circumstances with my husband's mother and things like that.
Wonderful. Well, Sue Ann, tell us, what is a funny story that your family likes to share about you that you'd be willing to tell us today?
Yeah, I love this question. I'm sure I could come up with a million, but this one. So I live truly to my blonde nature. When we first started having children, my father lives in Eastern Kentucky, and so I actually kind of grew up with 2 different households. And growing up, we didn't have screen doors such as like in patio doors, and so when I went to visit him and his brand new house in Eastern Kentucky, he had the patio doors and the hot tub and all the things that, I grew up in an old house where you got a front door and back door and maybe a storm door. And so not paying attention, and I was warned ahead of time. So Dad says there is a screen door, so you make sure you open that screen door and close the screen door, because he knows my nature. And so I'm okay, yeah, sure. Sure enough, I walk straight through that screen door and tear that screen door off, and it was just like, you knew it was going to happen. So that's a story they tell about the screen door and my blonde self walking through the screen door to get to that hot tub. So
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing.
yeah, thanks.
I can remember being at parties and seeing that happen. So it's always funnier from the people that don't run through the screen door than it is for the person who does.
True enough.
So, Ann, tell us about how the business came about, and at what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
Oh, there's so much to tell, but I'll narrow it down. My late mother-in-law, she ran a cleaning company. And so my husband and I worked for her when we started our family. We worked for her because we were pretty young when we started our family. And so we worked for her, and through the years, she decided she just really wanted to move on from that. And so she gave us her contract. So she was a apartment cleaning company. She did some residential, but mostly it was multifamily housing. And she also did some carpet cleaning. So we kind of took on the carpet and the cleaning services. And so after a few years of that, we both decided that we didn't really want to be cleaners. We just didn't really we didn't have find joy in it anymore. So we closed the doors, and both my husband and I did some other things. I went off to the military, and he went to work for a painting company and some other jobs in between there. But mainly for what we do now, that's kind of where we started, because then, I went from being an admin in the military and an admin in the medical field, and then working with and going to school for business. And in 2009, he comes to me and says, I think I'm ready to start a company again. And at first he said, maybe we could start with cleaning. And I just said, I'm just not, I don't really want to do that. I clean my house, but I don't want to be a cleaning company. And so you're painting. What do you think about that? And he said, I could totally do it. And so I said, okay, well, I'm behind you 100%. And so he started looking into the old contracts with our cleaning contracts in some apartment complexes. And he went back to work, but as a painter instead of a cleaning company, and a sole proprietor. And at the time, I was offered a job with Homeland Security. And so we kind of was back and forth. He said, I really need you to help me here. Because I, really want to get this up and going, but we also needed insurance. So I went ahead and took the job and helped him the best that I could from 2009 until 2014, where I decided I could probably help him a little more if I focused on just that.
Very cool. So the confidence of starting the business came from having done it already with the first one. So talk a little bit about that. How did you guys, go from, hey, we don't want to have a business, to now we want to have a business again? Is there any insights there that you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah. So, when we had the business when we were younger, there was a lot of things we didn't know. And by me going to business, getting a business degree, I have an associate's in arts of business. So, the little bitty things and learning along the way, I had more confidence in the processes that it takes to open your business, who you would need to talk to, and those things along the way. The confidence really just came from him saying, I need you for this, because he knew that I had some knowledge about the back end where you would need to have the legal stuff and the business plan and all of those things. So the confidence really came in that, yes, we already knew how it was to work with like contracts in the multifamily housing. So that helped us to have some confidence there.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit more about the company. So what's the name? What do you guys do? How do you help people?
Okay, so we're Emmons Painting Service. We focus in painting and drywall remodeling, but mainly we work in residential, hospitality, and multifamily housing. We actually just this last year added in some maintenance plans for like common hallways and things like that, so that our communities could stay fresh. And so that's just kind of something new that we did this year, and it's part of the growth process. The company has grown from being in a home office to we have our own location. And at our location, we added also a neighborhood U-Haul dealership so that we could have more traffic from the street. Because, it's not every day that people just walk in and say, hey, I need a painting company, unless you have commercials and things like that going on. And we don't. So we thought that would really help us get those people that are moving in and out, seeing that we are here if you need anything.
Wonderful. And where are you guys located?
We are on Thompson Road we're in Decatur Township off of High School and Kentucky Avenue. It's kind of like a side road that you can see from Kentucky Avenue. So if you're familiar with the area, where there's a Rally's restaurant right in front of us.
Fantastic. So share a story where someone pushed you or inspired you that you could do it, even though maybe you didn't think that you could, and the impact that person had on you.
I think it just still goes back to my husband and my mother-in-law. I don't think I don't know if I can give them enough credit, truthfully. She told me, just keep track of all of your receipts. Make sure that you're always talking to your clients. And my husband, Derrick is his name. And so he really has pushed me in that, I have confidence in you. I appreciate everything that you do, which that really helps me on days where I'm like, I'm just not sure. I'm
Mm.
just not sure how we'll do this. That kind of just rounds me back in and saying, no, you have this. He has confidence in you and he trusts in you. So you go out and you do the things.
I love it. Yes. Having the support of our spouses is significant in terms of, that for business owners, the every day is not necessarily the greatest. There's some ups and downs. And so being able to have that, that solid support and background or backing can make the difference week to week, can it?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
So what's the biggest learning that you've had as a business owner?
There's trial and error. One thing that I love to keep in the forefront of my mind is that there is power in failure.
Mm.
We do fail a lot. That's part of life, and you can really look at failure as a negative, or you can look at it as a positive. And I like to look at failure as growth. What didn't work here must mean I need to go I need to maneuver somewhere else to keep this going. So as a business owner, you just have to, in my opinion, you have to keep trying. One of the biggest things I learned early on in this business is networking is so important. Like I just really can't emphasize that enough. I met people early on. It was, sometimes I think the cards just lay out for you when you're really putting it out in the universe, what you're doing in this world. And I've had there was it's not a newsletter, but one of the money mailer, that was the name of it. I had a representative come in and she just really took me under her wing and took me to some networking groups locally. And that opened my eyes to see that aspect of things. I also I went door to door at some point once I decided in 2014 with Derrick that I would just, resign from Homeland Security and really focus on helping our company. I went door to door and said, if you really, really, really want to do something, you just go start talking to people. And so I go into this apartment complex, and they never ended up using us. But the manager there, she said, you may be interested in the Indiana Apartment Association. She said she was a traveling manager who worked for herself, and so this networking association was an important key factor in our growth.
That is awesome. I like something you said earlier about putting it out into the universe. It reminds me of the law of attraction, and it's so powerful that basically it means whatever we put out is what we attract. So I love that the networking and having that can-do attitude and just doing the door knocking, just doing the things that were needed to be able to build up that business and attract future business. And the failing, the learning forward is a way that I heard. It's not what you said, but that's what I took in terms of what you said is, hey, we are going to fail, we're going to make mistakes, but what can we learn from it, and how do we use that to become better versions of ourselves and build a better business moving forward. So I really like that perspective of, failing is just part of the journey. We're all going to do it, so we might as well embrace it. I love that perspective. So how did you get to that point? How did you be okay with the fact that failing was just part of the journey?
Well, I think mainly in the industry that we are in, apartment communities are managed by different companies. And so if one management company decides they no longer want to manage this community, they will, this community will find another company to manage them. And once that happens, staff changes, and it happens in a lot of companies, not just in multifamily, but in particular for us, when that happens, a lot of times there will be new maintenance supervisors and things like that. And a lot of times they will bring in their contractors who they have and they've trusted rather than keep the ones that are there for, for whatever reason or another. And so I don't know if you can really call that failure, but it can kind of feel like failure when you're dependent on funds from working in these communities. And so you just say, let's maneuver and find something else, because it does feel like failure, but grabbing some work somewhere else helps you to see, okay, we can do better. So whatever it was there that they didn't like about us, and maybe it was nothing, maybe it was not had nothing to do with us, but if it was, then we can do better somewhere else. And another thing that really helped me is that our processes, learning along the way how to be better for our customers, and things that in communication, and making sure they're seeing all the processes that we are doing, and scheduling, and making sure that they see the work. So we now have systems in place that they can communicate with us and see all the work that we do.
All right, fantastic. So tell me, we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation. So what's one of the biggest challenges that you had during the years, and maybe a fellow business owner that came alongside you and helped you get through that challenge?
Well, I would say that some of the challenges with most, and I would say with most companies, is learning how to finance your ventures. Really, what helped us with the financing part is just looking in different areas. Also, through networking and through the money mailer friend of mine, she introduced me to an accountant friend that she had, and she really helped us to see that there were grants out there that can help you. The small business administration can help you. There's so many different avenues that you can take, but you have to actually put yourself out there and really look for those resources. And so that was a struggle in the beginning, but once we found our way with it, it's been pretty amazing, the help that you can get to help you grow. Another difficult thing for us, a challenge has been, and it's continuous, is hiring, getting people to work, and it's a trade that it's not always the easiest thing, and it's definitely a skilled trade as far as painting and drywall. So finding people that are, willing to really put their expertise into what they're doing and be proud of their work, that's definitely a challenge that we have. So definitely have had a lot of help with Indeed and ZipRecruiter. Those type of companies really have helped honing down on what type of people that we really need in our company. There's another one called the Tradesman International. That company also hires specific trade types. So that's definitely helped us. Yeah. One of the other difficult things for me is having the hard conversations with your employees. That's never been I love to talk to people, and I love to make things happy. So the hard conversations were never my strong points, put it that way.
Yes. You mentioned hiring, and a lot of folks have wrestled with that over the past year with all the craziness happening in the marketplace. And one of the keys to hiring for folks listening is to make sure that you're finding people that fit your culture first. And so the mistake a lot of us make is we'll put our job posting or our job description out on Indeed, and then wonder why we're not attracting the right people. Well, looking for people is just like any other type of marketing. So we've got to turn that job description into a job ad, turn it into a marketing tool where we're attracting people that fit our culture and fit our way of life. And that way, if we find the right cultural fit, then we know that those people are coming for the right reasons, and they're going to fit into our organization. Then we can evaluate whether they've got the right skills and experiences. And so I love that that Sue Ann, that you shared that, that has been a challenge, because a lot of people are wrestling with that. And I find that folks tend not to be as willing to share the challenges and the struggles that they're going through it. But it can be helpful for other people to realize that they're not alone. So thank you for being willing to share that with us today.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's definitely one. I appreciate the marketing strategy on it. It's part of the failure process is growing and learning from the failures. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, if I was to put you on the spot and ask you to pick three people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for them being there to help with your business's growth, who are those three people and how they help you?
Well, I will. Number one, I'm going to go with Danny Duggar. He's actually maintenance and procurement I think is his title now, but he works with JC Hart. I don't know if it's real estate or exactly what, but I know it's JC Hart is the name of the company. And he really helped us to get into a place with the multifamily housing that we were unable to get into before. And that really helped the growth and really, I think, more confidence in working for A grade properties. Whereas, there was a time we weren't working in A grade properties, and we really specialize in changing over from residential to multifamily. And so the cheaper communities aren't as detailed as the nicer communities, where your walls are a certain color and your trim is different, and it looks more like your home would look. And so we wanted to be able to transition our people that were working in the communities over to residential without, changing how good they really were. And so Danny was a key component in helping us get into that type of apartment communities. Two more. Let's see. The traveling manager. See, I don't have the name for her, and I really wish I did, because she really helped. She really helped me because immediately that day when she said, if you're really ready to grow, then you need to call the Indiana Apartment Association. And so all the people in the Indiana Apartment Association are amazing. So any other contractors that really want some growth, that is definitely where you want to be, especially if you want to work in the multifamily housing industry. And so that traveling manager helped us a lot, and the Indiana Apartment Association. So, but by name, I'm just going with Danny. And another person is Teresa Rohde. She's an accountant, and that's the accountant that's really helped us with the financial parts of things, and helping us to see not only just with our company, but any questions of friends or family that are doing their own small business stuff. I can always send them to her. And I'm also part of a networking group that has her in it. And that's how I got in contact with you, or you got in contact with me, is through that networking group, which is pro networking.
Fantastic. Awesome. So let's shift gears here and talk about the future. As you think about the next 3 to 5 years, what are the biggest challenges that you see that you'll face in reaching your goals? And who are the types of people that you're going to need to overcome those challenges?
Well, we've kind of brushed over the hiring part, hiring teams for marketing. I've got a PR person now that's working with me, but having people that are in sales and having people in the culture for painting and drywall, we've already had those challenges, but I'm hoping that in 3 to 5 years that we really have the company in a place where it's not only that you enjoy the work that you do, but the whole culture is an amazing place to be in. And art is such an amazing thing to me. And so I'm not a painter, so I love to do projects, but these guys really love what they do. And so I'm really hoping in the next 3 to 5 years, those challenges that we've had in hiring people, that we find people that truly enjoy doing this type of work, and that we can cater to the needs of those employees, so that not only they are happy, the customers are happy, and everyone is happy doing what we do.
Wonderful. And last question here. Jim Rohn, it's awesome. author and business leader from the past. One of his quotes is, "We become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with." And as you think about this quote, what advice would you have for business owners who are trying to do it on their own? Those who think that that they can't or shouldn't ask for help, and that they just have to figure it out by themselves. What advice would you have for them?
There is an old saying that word of mouth is the only way to do business. And I have to disagree. I think that it does work, but I think you really have to try all the faucets of business. You have to make a plan. You have networking. Some people just really don't think that it's necessary, but how can you really meet people if you don't get out there? And those networking groups are all over the place, online, they're in person. If you network, your business will grow. That's the main key component in that. And another thing, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. So, you learn from those who know more than you do. And that's also why I love to talk to people, because what do you know that I don't know?
Yeah.
And for business, that's so important.
Yeah. And to that point of finding a different room, with technology today, it's so easy to watch a video, or read a book, or attend an online conference, so that there's really no excuses not to surround yourself with smarter people, because it's so easy today to do that, right?
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
So Ann, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people that have helped you along your journey. If they were all on the show here today, what would you want to say to them?
Thank you. You've really helped my life, and I appreciate you. That's what I would say.
Wonderful. Well, Ann, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
To everyone who tuned in, thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show with your host, Coach Tim Campsell. Be sure to help us spread the movement by liking the show or posting about it on your social media. And to join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Make sure to pay it forward, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.